Amazon Adventure.
So let's open up the product. So let's open up a new game, File, New. Okay, let's save this as Amazon Adventure. Navigate to where you have your game design folder. Go into your Project 6 and call this Amazon Adventure. And click OK. Click Save. You notice it changed it up here. So let's give us a couple frames. Go Insert, New Frame. This first frame I'm going to call Start. Right click, rename, Start. Second frame I'm going to call Level 1. Right click, rename, Level 1. So now I'm going to open the Amazon Adventure library. Okay, what I do is I right click in this little space in my library toolbar, right click, and I click New. Now I navigate to where I have my game design folder and where I have the Amazon Adventure library stored. So I go into my desktop, I go into my game design folder, I open up Project 6, and I open up my Amazon Adventure library. So it says New Library down here, I just call it Amazon Adventure Library. Now I just double click on my Amazon Adventure library, and I just open it up. So there are all my backgrounds and objects for my new game. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a transition on my start frame. So I'm going to click here. This is going to be my transition going into my game. So I click here, and I'm going to choose a transition here. And there's a lot of things to check out. I think I'll do zigzag. So I click OK. So now I've got a transition. On my start frame, double click. Make sure you're on start. Now I'm going to drag up my title screen. Okay, so I'm going to right click my title screen. I'm going to align in frame. I'm going to align it to the left. You're going to right click, align in frame, and align to the top. Okay, now I'm going to lock it. Right click, lock. Now I'm going to drag up here my start button. So I just find a place where I want to put it. Okay. Now all I need to do is I need to go into my event editor and make the start button work. So I go View, Event Editor, click me a new condition, click me the mouse, user clicks on an object, click OK. I click the Start button and click OK. User clicks with the left button on the Start button. So I'm going to send them to the next frame, which is a level 1 frame. Right click under this third option here and click Next Frame. It's now going to go into level 1. Now level 1 is going to have a layers toolbar to it. You might not have the layers toolbar open. If that's the case, all you do is you go View, Toolbars, and turn on your layers toolbar. You might have to pin it open. See the little pin here? It's on auto hide, so if I click the pin down, that'll keep it open. Alright, now what I want is my jungle backdrop. My jungle backdrop is huge. It's 4 times the size of your screen. So I'm going to put it all the way over here in this upper left hand corner. And you're going to right click, align in frame, left. Do not harass. No horizontal center, no vert center. Left, okay, right click, align and frame, top. Left and top. This is very important, okay? We're going to click on level 1 here, and we're going to change the virtual width. This is 4 times as big, so it's twice as wide. So 640 times 2 is 1280, right? And the virtual height, 480 times 2 was what? 960, correct? So now we have it twice as wide and twice as high. Okay, so one thing we need to do is we need to zoom out. So I'm going to go to my view menu, and click zoom, and I'm going to click it 50% because I want to see my entire screen. So I zoom out to 50%. So that's going to, now I can see the entire screen. This is what I was able to see before. Now I can see everything. So I'll be able to put ladders and platforms and have a path for the bird to drop coconuts on the player. I'll be able to do everything, being able to see my whole screen here. Okay, so this is the layer 1. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock the layer 1 and give me a layer 2. Now on my layer 2, this is where I have 90% of everything else. I'm going to have all my characters going to be in layer 2, my platforms and my ladders are going to be in layer 2, and the enemies are going to be in layer 2. So on this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my character. Now I don't see my character here. Where's my character? I have to get him from the local library. So where do I find that? I come up to the top here and I click the little plus next to the local library. I come on down to games and I click the little plus next to games. And I come down, there's a little piece called characters. So I search in characters and I go to find platform mad scientist. So I click on the platform mad scientist. Just double click it to open it. And I put this guy called the insane programmer down here in my lower left hand corner. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename him Mad Scientist because that's what your directions are always going to refer to the Mad Scientist, not the insane programmer. So all to do is rename him. It's right click, rename Mad Scientist. Click OK. So now what kind of a movement am I going to give the Mad Scientist? Click on him. Click on your movement button, the running man. Click on the static. And go find the platform movement. Okay, so now your guy has platform movement. So let's come on down. Now the way you're going to control this guy is you're going to control him using the arrow keys. So see where it says button 1? Click that down and find up and left or right arrow. So to jump him, what you're going to do to jump him is you're going to hold down the up button and the left, or the up button and the right to make him jump. Or he's not going to jump very high if the strength is as high as the gravity. So we're going to make him stronger than the gravity so he can jump up on platforms. Otherwise, he doesn't jump very high. So I'm going to give him 100 for strength. Okay? So now I'm going to have to go in the event editor and do a couple things here right off the bat. So let's go into your event editor. I'm going to go view, event editor. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to center the program on the player. So I'm going to right click on new condition. This is going to be an always event. So the always is on the gears. So I right click the gears and I choose always. What are we doing all the time? We're centering the game on the player. So right click under the storyboard controls here, your third option, and you're going to go to scrollings. Remember last time, in the last game, we had horizontal position of window and frame. We're centering the window position and frame because he's going up and down, and he's going right and left. So it's going to be centering the window position in the frame. Okay, so you can go up and down, left and right with this one. Okay, so instead of having it an actual f, x, y coordinate here, we're going to have it relative to what? We want it focused on the player. So we're going to click the player and we're going to click OK. So 0, 0 is where we want it, right in the center of the mad scientist. So click OK. So we're having it centering it on the player. So you think it's going to run? Well, let's run it. Run application. There's your transition. Oh, and he fell off the bottom. Do you know why that is? That's because he has gravity. He's going to fall out the bottom of the screen. So how do you prevent that? Same way you prevent your paddles from going off the screen in the ping game. You click New Condition. You click the player. You click Position. Test the position of the mad scientist. Okay, if he's trying to go out the right or the left or the bottom, if he's trying to drop out of the bottom, you want him to stop. So I click OK. So if he leaves the play area on the bottom, left or right, I'm clicking under him right here, movement, stop. So now we should be able to see the player. I can click Run Application, click Start again. So there he is. So I can run him to the right, and I can run him to the left. I can jump him. So we're all ready to give him some platforms to jump on. Okay? So let's go back into our level 1. Double click. Double click level 1. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our Amazon Adventure Library. But first thing I want to do is I want to give my ladder platform movement. So I'm going to click on my ladder, and I'm going to go into the runtime options. This is a little arrow here, and I'm going to come on down. It says obstacle type none. I'm going to change this to a ladder. Okay. Then I'm going to click on the platform. It says obstacle type none, and I'm going to change this into a platform. So now I'm going to duplicate these. I'm going to clone these. So I'm going to right click my platform here. I click clone object. I'm going to go 1 row and 10 columns. I click OK. I'm going to do the same thing with the ladder here. I'm going to right click the ladder. Now what you might have to do is you might have to zoom in if you're not able to right click and get it. Like this. I'm having trouble. I might have to zoom out. So I'm going to go View, Zoom, back to 100%, and I'm going to come all the way down. Now I can right click this ladder. So I got the ladder selected. I just click clone object, and once again 1 row, 10 columns. If I go to make the player jump on these objects, let me show you how this is going to work. Run application. Okay, he's alright climbing the ladder, but he's going right through the platform. So what I'm going to have to do here is I'm going to have to go back into my event editor and have him be able to stand on the platform. And how I do this is go View, Event Editor, New Condition, the player, collisions, backdrop. When the player collides with a backdrop, what I want him to do is to stop. So I right click under the scientist, movement, stop. So now we should be able to stand on the platform. So I'm going to run application. And now when he's up on there, see, he's going to be able to use those platforms. Okay. So now what's going to happen is you're going to zoom out again so you can see the whole screen. And you remember, you want the player to be able to reach these. He's got to be able to jump to them. So you're going to make sure you can get to every quadrant of your game. And you can always add more platforms, add more ladders. But this is something that you're going to test over and over again till you get it the way you want. You can add the platforms, you can add the ladders. This is where you can use all your creativity and create a nice environment for your player. So you see how big a jump he's going to need to take. So I'm going to run my application. You're going to see how high he can jump. That should be able to tell me how high I need to build it. So that seems to be about the size of it. Maybe I can go a little higher, but not much higher than that, okay? But it's all going to be trial and error. It's going to be experiment. So, put them all over the place, and I'm going to stop my recording, and I'm going to just put platforms and ladders around till I find something, till I find a good place, and then we'll continue with this recording. So now you finally got all the ladders in place. You want to make sure that your character can get to all the obstacles. So you try them out. Can you get to all the platforms? Okay, the next thing we need to do is we need to make sure that we're putting in the statue items. So let's go put up our statue items. So I'm going to put the statue items up where you're going to find them. So I'm going to put the statue base in a challenging place. I'm going to put the statue wings in another challenging place. And I'm going to put the statue egg in a challenging place as well. And then I'm going to put the door someplace hard to get to. And I'll put the wings way up here. There we go. Okay. So now I'm going to go into my event editor, and when the player collides with any of these objects, they're going to disappear. So I'm going to view event editor. So now when the player collisions another object, when he collides with the statue base, I want the statue base to disappear. Right click, destroy. Same thing when he hits the statue wings. Right click, player collisions another object, statue wings. Statue wings are going to destroy. So I'm going to create the third condition. Player collisions another object, this time the statue egg. So when he collides with the statue egg, I want the statue egg to be destroyed. So I go click destroy. We're going to go back to the level 1. And what we're going to do is we're going to create another layer. Before we create another layer, let's put some motion on these layers. I'm going to we're on layer 2. And we're going to keep it at a x and y coefficient of 1. I'm going to double click layer 1. Go back on layer 1. I'm going to slow this layer down to 0.5. And this layer here is going to be at the x and y coefficient are both at 0.5, which means the background is going to go a little slower than the foreground, which is going to give it something of a three-dimensional aspect. So now I'm going to add a third layer, and this layer is not going to move at all. I'm going to change the x coefficient to 0 and the y coefficient to 0. Now what I'm going to do, up in this upper left-hand corner, I'm going to build the statue here. Okay, we're going to put our collection wings up first. Then I put the collection base right on top of it. And I'm going to put the collection egg right on top of that. So this is always going to be visible to the player, but initially it's going to be invisible. So I'm going to select everything by dragging over it, and where it says visible at start here, I'm going to take the check mark out. When I first show the game here, he's not going to see anything until he bumps into it. So now I'm going to go back into my event editor, go view event editor, and now I'm going to make it reappear. So when he collides with the statue base, it disappears here, but we're going to reappear here. So I'm going to click visibility, make object reappear. Okay. So it hits the wings. I'm going to right click visibility, make object reappear, and the same thing with the egg. Right click, visibility, make object reappear. So now, if I have all these three things appeared and he hits the door, I'm going to let him go to the next level. So let me add all those conditions. Right click, collection base, visibility is collection base of visible. On top of it, I'm going to insert is the collection wings of visible. So I'm going to click visibility. Now make sure you're doing the collection and not the statue, okay? Is the collection wings visible? Right click, insert, make sure I'm at the collection egg. It's bigger. They're all bigger. Okay, right click, visibility is collection egg visible. So make sure you got the right one. Collection base, collection wings, collection egg. Okay? And the last condition I'm going to have is he colliding with the door. Insert, hit our character, collision, another object, hit the door. Are all these conditions true? Then I'm going to have him go to the next level. Right click, next frame. Okay, so he'll go to level 2 if all those are correct. So let's see if we can do this. Got to run the application. This is going to take me some time to go through it, so I'm just going to... Oh, doesn't look like our collection wings are invisible. We'll have to fix that. But let's see if he runs it, if he can run into some stuff here. Okay, now he just needs to get the egg. Yep, that worked. So you can see he got all his items. So I just need to go back into my level 1 and make sure that I've got my wings and make them invisible at start. Okay, so now everything's fine, everything's working. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some enemies. Got to put some challenge in here, right? So the first enemy here I'm going to put in is the warp. I'm going to put the warp pretty high up so it's frustrating to the player. Alright, put them right here. So let's go into the event editor, view event editor. New condition, player, collisions, another object. He runs into the warp. So we want to happen. We want him to send it back to the beginning. So we're going to go position, select position for the mad scientist, and we're going to pull the pop out up out of the way. We're going to take this dotted flashing X and put it back at the beginning. Click OK. So we'll send him back to the beginning. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to come back to the frame editor, double click level 1, and we're going to put the alligator here. Now, a lot of people like to put the alligator on a platform. I like just to hide him on the ground because he's not expecting the alligator. So I'll just put him down here right in the way. Okay? So now we're going to have him, when he runs into the alligator, he's going to lose a life. But before we do that, let's go put the lives object up here. Make sure we're on the third frame here. Go right click, insert object, click lives, click OK, and click, and we'll put them right here. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the bird. We're going to put the bird on the second layer. The only thing on the third layer should be the statue, the collection objects, and the lives, okay? So I'm going to click on the bird. Now I'm going to give him path movement. So I'm going to click on the running man. I'm going to click on the static, and I'm going to come up to path. So I'm going to click the edit for the edit movement, and I'm going to go to tape mouse. So now I'm going to make his path all over the frame here. So I don't want there to be any place where this character is safe from this bird. So let me try my movement. So I click stop if it's the way I like it, and I'm going to click OK. I'm going to zoom out again. View, zoom, 50%. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Event Editor, View, Event Editor, and I'm going to have a condition when the bird goes out any of the sides, he's going to reverse. So I click bird, position, test position of the bird. Is he trying to go out the top or any of the sides? Okay. Is he trying to leave the play area? Just want him to reverse. Right click, movement, reverse. So now let's go back into our game. Double click level 1. We're going to put a pineapple out here. Okay, so we're going to have the bird launch pineapples. Alright. So let's go back into our event editor. View, event editor. We have a new condition here. And we're going to click timer every what? Every second. What's going to happen? So we're going to come over here underneath the create an object. Right click, create object. So we're going to create a pineapple. Click OK. Relative to what? We want it relative to the bird. Click OK. So we want to make sure this is 0, 0, so it's centered right on the bird, and click OK. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back into our frame view. We're going to have the bird drop pineapples. So we're going to double click. We're going to click on the pineapple. And we're going to give the pineapple pinball movement. So I'm going to click the running man, click the static, and we're going to click pinball. Down here, pinball movement. So now let's run this and let's see what this looks like. Run application. So we're going to start our game. There goes the pineapples. When the mad scientist runs into the alligator, he's going to lose a life. When he gets hit by the pineapple, he's going to lose a life. When he runs into the bird, he's going to lose a life. Okay? And we're going to have the pineapple destroyed when it goes out of bounds, and we're going to have it destroyed when it hits a platform. But meanwhile, we don't want to run out of pineapples, and we don't want the bird to suddenly stop. So we got the pineapple selected. Now I'm going to go into runtime options. Destroy object if too far from the frame, no. Okay? Let's do this for the bird too. Just inactivate if too far from the frame, no. Okay? So we don't want to run out of pineapples or the bird. Okay? Just so you know, that's how you do it. So let's go into our event editor. View, event editor. Alright, coming on down, new condition. So now we're going to have a pineapple. When the pineapple collisions with the backdrop, we're going to destroy the pineapple. Pineapple destroyed. Okay, new condition. When the pineapple position, test position of the pineapple. Is it trying to leave on the bottom? If it tries to leave on the bottom, we're going to destroy the pineapple as well. Okay, so last option, destroy the pineapple. Okay, so we're going to have the player, collision, another object, the pineapple. Player's going to lose a life, so we right click here, number of lives, subtract from number of lives, 1. Okay. So now when he runs into the alligator, new condition, player, collision, another object, the alligator. We already have that, don't we? But when collisions with the bird, we don't. He's going to lose a life then, okay? So, what happens when the player runs out of lives? We're going to restart the application. New condition. We're going to look at player 1 compared to player's number of lives. 0. Okay. Number of lives is equal to 0. Right click under here. Restart the application. There you go. So let's do this thing. Let's see how it's working. Run application. Click the start button. There we go. So there's our guy. He's climbing. Oh, he got sent back to the beginning. Alright. It's going to be a crazy game, isn't it? Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to make another level. Got our first level. And I just click the minus so I get my level 1. And I right click. And I click clone. So now I rename my second level, level 2. Okay? And we can add some other stuff to this level, but basically your game is done. File, save. I like to do other things with my games. I like to put in other objects. I like to put in more alligators on the second level. I like to go into my games here and click on characters. And I like to put in monsters. And there's all kinds of things here. Put another alligator in the maze, or maybe another warp someplace else. Lots of things you can do. Okay? So basically that's it. Amazon adventure game. Click save.